Hello, everybody. This is Spider here at the Fight Card Podcast. This is episode 5. Once again, I'm being joined by William Clark, aka Billy Bear. Billy, how are you, man?
I'm doing great, Spider. Thanks for having me on again, man. It's a pleasure.
No, yes, sir. Likewise, man. I know last time we said it was going to be every week or whenever we could, man. But timing's, it's just off. I mean, I'm busy. You're busy. But we are here at your location at OHANA West, and you just told me just earlier, man, you're actually moving locations?
Yeah, we are. We're staying in the same property, but we're just changing suites. We're going to a bigger location, so it's real exciting. By January, we should have our transition in place, so it'd be real quick. And it's just going to be on the other side of the movie theater here in our plaza. It's going to be at the corner, so we'll have a big sign, be able to get a little bit more exposure, and it's real exciting. Yeah, we're going to be doing that here real soon.
Man, so I mean, of course, that means that classes are getting bigger, getting more students in, man. So that's always a plus. As of right now, like how many kids classes do you have? Do you host 2 of them?
2 a day. They're all gi classes Monday through Thursday, and then on Friday we have no gi. So that's getting a little bit more popular. We might change it up again next month and have a couple more no gi classes. But yeah, man, we got kids that are competing. Classes are growing. The kids' classes are getting huge, and yeah, man, every day of the week, 2 times a week.
Man, and how many students in total youth class do you have right now?
In total, the students.
Yes, sir.
In total we have about 200 already. So it grew pretty quick. Within 5 months being open, we were able to go ahead and get it to a pretty good amount. And yeah, we got quite a few kids. Our kids are probably 70 plus kids for sure. We got like 40 that come in just to class now lately, so it's growing real big.
Wow, man, I did not know that was a number. I was expecting like 80, but that's pretty awesome, man.
Yeah, thank you.
No, yes, sir. Now, as far as we were going to bring up a couple of the past promotions. Combate Americas just happened last weekend here in San Antonio, Freeman Coliseum. The card itself was stacked, even though I wasn't given my proper media passes on time, man, which was kind of bad, but no ill will. We had a mutual friend in there, Ray the Judge Rodriguez. He fought.
Yeah. Congratulations to him, right?
Yes, yeah, bro, no doubt, man. I mean, I saw the weigh-ins, man, and his opponent, I guess he blew a wad like at the weigh-ins, dude, because he was going crazy. But come fight time, Ray dominated. He did what he had to do, got a submission victory.
Yep. He got his win. He had an awesome takedown on the guy. He was dominating the whole time. Turns around, picks him up off the cage, and then throws him down on his head. That was awesome. That was one of the highlights. Yeah, shout out to Ray, man. That was an awesome fight. Good stuff.
No, yes, sir. Now, like we said earlier, man. I mean, Combate they just happened here in San Antonio. They're actually heading to the Rio Grande Valley, man. They're going to be fighting in South Texas. And the main event's actually going to be Tito Ortiz and Alberto Del Rio. And I had mentioned earlier, it's going to be the main event. I mean, they're both heavyweights. Tito turned out, he put his belts on the line, man, from the UFC, and Del Rio, he put his. So what do you think about that, man? Yeah or nay?
I mean, if it draws, then of course, if it's a success, yeah, I mean, I have nothing. Tito's he's a legend, man. He's a pioneer. So he was one of those guys that was in the beginning that helped get UFC kind of pumped up. Him and Chuck and all those guys doing their thing. So yeah, I mean, I think the time has come and gone as far as their prime goes. But like, if he's still up for it, if it's going to be a safe fight, then by all means. But I worry about like Chuck. Like he hasn't been he just hasn't been on the best winning streak that he has. Actually, it's been like the worst, and it's just tough to see because he's a legend, man. You see, if you remember from his glory days, like that dude was hardcore going, and he still is. But it sucks to see your guys get a little bit old and then lose a step, and then like start really paying for it in their fights, and you worry about their health. And same thing with Tito.
No, yes, sir. Now, one of the things about and a lot of fighters have mentioned is once they get knocked out, I mean, it's hard for a lot of people to recover from that. And it seems like Chuck never did. He got knocked out by oh man, I mean, Shogun. I mean, in the UFC, he got knocked out by Quentin Jackson. I mean, just a lot of people that took it to him. And I mean, he's been on, I think it's like a 6-fight losing streak. So it's it's a health to the guy, man. And just recently, I know I don't know if he. I mean, I read the interviews and people were posting it, but he had posted that he could beat Mike Tyson in a street fight, man.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's possible. I think on my page I had put maybe if it's a street fight, is he talking like baseball bats or what? Man? But I don't see that happening. I mean, the crossover right now for boxers wanting to get into MMA, and I think it was Fury, man. What did he challenged Stipe for a fight. I mean, Fury's, heavyweight boxing champion.
Yeah.
And, something like that, man. I mean, I wouldn't want to see it. It's just, I think I put on my page also, it's just, even if Stipe were to say, I want to box him, I wouldn't want to see that either, man. I mean, what do you think about the crossover? I mean, these guys challenging each other.
They're two completely different sports. I mean, you got one that includes a little bit of boxing and then the other one that's just strictly the stand-up game. So it's like if you have some of the best to do it, then whichever realm that you're going to step into is always going to be a far more advantage. These guys train day in and day out for their specific discipline. So I mean, it would be tough. It would be real tough. Just like whenever we're watching with Floyd and McGregor, you see how it looked in the beginning, the very very beginning, but then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, this is a professional stage that you're stepping into whenever it comes to just strictly boxing. So it's entertaining on paper. I think if people like it because of the names, and again, that's another awesome thing whenever it's a draw. But I don't think it's going to be something where you're going to see a very close fight.
No, not at all, man. I mean, Fury, if Stipe were to maybe decide to keep it on his feet, but I mean, like you said, I mean, if Stipe were to get in trouble and there's a scuffle and he gets tagged, I mean, I see him going for a takedown.
Yeah.
So it's going to happen. Now, another one that had happened too, man, was actually UFC. They were up in New York. Of course, the whole BMF title fight happened. Nick Diaz, he got cut. Referee stoppage. Masvidal took the belt. Did you see that?
Yeah, I did. That was awesome fight. That was typical Nate. It was unfortunate, man. Those guys are known to bleed. I don't know if it's true or not. I heard about his older brother Nick, how he would had a surgery where he shaved down the bones on his eyebrows so he wouldn't cut whenever he would fight. So I don't know. That's just a rumor, kind of sidetrack, but it's unfortunate with Nate. Those cuts were pretty bad. I mean, looking at it after the fact, whenever they had pictures and they saw all the stitches around,
it looked like it was gonna fall off his face, man. That was pretty nasty.
Yeah, it was one of those things that it made sense. You can't really blame the doctor for that. Now, if could he physically kept going? Hell yeah, would I wanted to see it, man? That's for sure. But again, you got to make sure that the health,
first.
The health of your guys are number one. So it's already a crazy sport. No need to have him risk something so important to him.
No, for sure, man. I mean, he, like you said, I mean, he does have a lot of scar tissue. I mean, both him and his brother. It was actually Phil Davis in the UFC. I believe he's the one that actually had surgery. He got a lot of the scar tissue removed, and he fought twice. And after the UFC, I think he fought back in England, and it paid off. I mean, he didn't bleed. It's just, there's a lot of scar tissue in their face, and once you tag it a couple of times, it's only a matter of time before they start bleeding again, man. So it happened, like you said. I mean, I wanted to see it keep going, but not in the way it happened. He was cut pretty bad. His health. You don't want to have him have permanent damage to his eye and everything else. So that was a good call, man. I mean, the ref stepped in. It was his call, so he pulled it, and that was it. Now, after that fight, Masvidal actually had commented on Canelo. He wanted to fight Canelo, man. He said he could beat him. Same thing we talked earlier, crossover. Masvidal boxing Canelo. I wouldn't want to see it. Is that something you would pay to watch?
Man, I know somebody's older brother wants a piece. So I know Nick was talking about how he was wanting to go ahead and take on that challenge with Masvidal. That'll be cool to see. It might be the same thing as far as the blood goes, and I'm sure it'll be the same blood. But I mean, who knows how much more if he can. Nick can take before he starts doing the same thing that started happening to Masvidal at the end of round 3. You could tell that Masvidal started just breaking down just a little bit, and then 2 rounds whenever that starts happening, that becomes a big thing. Whenever it comes to the Diaz brothers, you start getting them in deep. They start taking you in deep water, and man, it would be cool to see Nick come back and then take on that fight for sure. It would, I think that would be more. I think that would be more entertaining. Again, not so. It's becoming almost a circus whenever we talk about all these guys that are going from boxing to MMA and then back or whatever. Yeah. But it's what's happening, and people are trying to draw big cards for big money. But I think Nick and Masvidal would be badass.
You see, I would want to see that, man. And I know, I mean, for me, when he first called him out and he had said he'd fight him, rankings. I mean, rankings nowadays don't mean that much. I mean, if Nick's been gone, he's been out of the scene for years. I would want to see him step in and fight somebody before he fought a contender. I mean, he hasn't fought, it's just me. I mean, would I want to see it? Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, I don't think Nick would have what it takes to beat him. I mean, he hasn't fought. So I'm not saying he hasn't been training, but I've seen his videos for his interviews, and the guy looks out of shape, man. I mean, he doesn't look like he's been training. I mean, would it take 6 months, a year for him to get back in shape and actually step in the cage?
Yeah, I think you got a point, maybe Nick wouldn't be the first option, but I would rather see somebody that's been in the game, and then we kind of keep it more on the MMA side than having somebody from, just a different discipline come in and then take on that. We kind of seen how it goes, whenever it comes to like the crossovers. Even back whenever Jimerson had the one boxing glove and you saw how it went down. So that was, we already know whenever depending on what realm it is that you're fighting in, that professional is going to take advantage and have that edge. So I'd like to see more of that. I know that Till, he likes that call out. He does want to go forward with Robert Whitaker. So that would be real cool to see too.
Yeah, I mean that's something like that. Yeah, they're both contenders. They both want to, win the championship, man. Which kind of seems like to me everybody's lost sight of. But I mean, all these money fights. I mean, everybody wants to get paid. Everybody wants to make the big money, and it's just. I mean, I see it, but it's just I would want to see these contenders get an opportunity. I mean, there's a lot of top 15, a lot of top 20 guys that haven't been able to make a dent in the rankings because these guys keep popping up and I mean they keep coming back and wanting to fight some of the contenders on there, but we'll see what Uncle Dana has to say and has to do about it.
Right.
Another off the subject, man, or other than the UFC, I want you to bring up the LFA promotion. They actually signed up with the UFC Fight Pass. And, we said earlier, it's a good thing. I mean, a lot more opportunity. The guys fighting on there are going to have more exposure. It's Legacy was already a fitting company for the UFC, so it only made sense. So we'll see how it goes. It's happening. The first promotion on the under the UFC Fight Pass is going to be happening tomorrow. That's going to be in Denton, Texas, I believe. So, Vernon White, Vernon's going to be on there. Vernon Lewis, I'm sorry. He's one of the fighters. He's on the undercard. These guys, they're hungry. They've been waiting to fight and get on there and get called by the big promotions. So we'll see how that goes, man.
Yeah, that's gonna be helpful for the scene whenever it comes to getting grouped into something like that, something as big as UFC, and then showing them just that much more spotlight, much more exposure, not just for the athlete and in that area, but for the sport itself. Yeah, man, it's going to be good overall as far as just having that, having those many more options. I mean, now it's just basically a fight every weekend whenever you get the chance to.
No, yeah, and I was thinking about that on the way over here, man. I was like, man, I keep all these. I mean, the UFC's doing good. I mean, everybody's getting a fight now. Before, the fighters were complaining that they would have to wait 3-4 months, for them to fight. Now that you have UFC Fight Night, UFC, UFC Sao Paulo's happening this weekend, and that was one that kind of flew over me.
Right.
So it's just, it's a good thing. These guys do need the exposure. We had talked about the Diaz brothers earlier, and a lot of these guys, they've been through hell and back. They've got a lot of damage. They've been beaten up, and it's like we got to move these guys in faster, man, before they pass their prime and they don't get that opportunity. But health first, man. So we'll see how that goes. Now, as of right now, we had talked earlier also, man, the Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship, that's going on this weekend in Florida, bare knuckle, man. You ever been in a bare knuckle fight, Billy?
I mean, I've been in fights. Yeah, I've been in bare knuckle fights. No, nothing like that was sanctioned, of course. Nothing that was that had a referee or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, I think these things that are implemented now, as far as like the equipment that we use, that's for your safety. That's to make sure that the fighter himself doesn't break any bones. Whenever you punch, you don't break your wrist, or you don't like shatter your bones in your hand or something like that. Because those are the injuries, man. They take a very long time. We use our hands and stuff like that. So, I mean, yeah, it pretty much mutilates the face, but yeah, man, it's just dangerous on both ends. So I'm not against it. I mean, you got to be pretty savage to do it. But you also got to understand that those are consequences. You know, it's not. You know, they're grown men that are doing it, so it's something that
their choice.
You know, it's their choice. They want to do that. Like, by all means, if there's going to be a channel for that, and then it is going to generate some kind of audience, then for sure, people are going to watch that. I mean, yeah, for me, yeah, I would definitely watch it. I saw Chris Lieben. Man, that's his backyard. That's his kind of style. So
wild, man.
You know, he'll do his thing, that zombie kind of deal. He'll take as much damage and keep going forward. So, you know, it's entertaining to see whenever Lieben does it, because he's kind of the guy that leads the way whenever it comes to that stuff.
No, for sure, man. I mean, and like you said, man, I mean, there's a lot of scar tissue. I mean, it is bare knuckle. I know they wrap their knuckles up with hand wrap, but I mean, you're still feeling bone on bone, so it's pretty out there, man. I mean, I wouldn't want to get hit bare knuckle. I'll tell you that much. But you know, there is a market for it. You know, people are going to it. There's a lot of people that want to compete. You know, like you said, they're adults, so if they sign up, then they know what they're getting into.
Right.
So it's you know, we'll see what happens, man. I'm actually you know, bare knuckle fighting championship is going on. Valor with Ken Shamrock. You know, they're going a different direction.
Right.
Did you happen to catch the first event?
No, I didn't. I didn't happen to see it, man.
It was pretty interesting. I mean, he did a couple of changes. It's not in the ring or in the cage. It's actually on a like blood sport type mat. You know, back when they used to do karate, like on pitch, man. Yeah, I thought that was pretty cool, man. Because now there's no blind spots. I mean, the guys they can run, but I mean, if they get step out of I believe that's on them. But they got to stand in there and bang, man. And it's you know, his second promotion, I think they have posted it's going to be the beginning of the year. So we'll see, man. I'm interested in seeing more of that. You know, like I said, I wouldn't want to be in it, but I'll watch it, definitely.
Combat is combat. I love it. You know what I mean? Like, I'll be all over it, too. So I know exactly what you're saying. Yeah, man. So you were talking about how there was going to be that UFC that be coming up this weekend.
Yes, sir.
One thing that I know transitions, of course, is striking, and then that's always going to be implemented in MMA. But the jiu-jitsu, of course, I'm excited for Salza, for Jacare.
Yes, bro. I mean,
that's gonna be cool.
You see, and stuff like that, man. And you know, somebody the other day they brought up like Ninja and Shogun. I mean, a lot of the Pride fighters, man. And I mean, of course, everybody was fighting in Pride because there was more money. You know, a lot of the guys that fought there past their prime. You know, I wish they would have crossed over and to the UFC a lot sooner, man, just to watch them in their prime. But I mean, it did happen. You know, Ninja's still fighting. You know, Hakade. I mean, of course, I've seen him fight before, and jiu-jitsu guy, world champion, crossed over to MMA. He's been doing great.
Cool to see Maya pull off that win over Askren.
Yes, bro. That was.
I'm a little biased, there's enough friends in the gym that are all about wrestling, and of course, I've talked about it before on this exact episode or this podcast about how I got nothing but respect for wrestlers. But that was pretty cool, man. I mean, my deal is jiu-jitsu, and that was pretty badass. So hats off to Maya for doing his thing. And hopefully Jacare pulls it off too. I'm a fan of mixed martial arts, but jiu-jitsu bias, exactly.
Oh yes, bro. You see, when that fight happened, I kind of saw the stronger grappler getting it, getting the win. Maia, I mean, as far as I didn't know he was that much taller, man. I mean, when I saw him like face to face and doing a face off, and I was thinking, man, he's got a reach. So I kind of figured he would use that reach to his advantage, and I mean, he did, man. I mean, he capitalized. He scrambled him because they did scramble, and got that submission. Actually choked the guy out. So it was a good matchup, man. I mean, I'm glad it happened. we'll see where Askren is going after this. I know he had talked about retirement, so we'll see how that goes. Best of luck to the guy if he does. But
man, that'd be wild for Askren to be retired after that. I mean, for UFC to go ahead and that says a whole lot about UFC too, because they Dana always talks about having the best in the world, and it goes to show. Askren was he undefeated before he came in?
Yeah, he was, man. He was actually on a win streak. He was a multi-champion. He held Bellator. He was in ONE FC. He held titles everywhere, man. And I know there was a couple of fights in Japan that happened that his opponents were taking it to him, and he just out wrestled them, dude. He's a beast on the mat, so he basically out wrestled a lot of the fighters. But yeah, man. He came to the UFC, and man, not good for him,
Right.
So we'll see. We'll stay tuned for the next one and see what happens with that one, bro.
Yeah, I hear you, man. I'm excited for that. See what's going to be coming around for him. Hopefully he doesn't quit, because he's been doing it for a minute, and it's just unfortunate that he just happens to be running in and out with the elites in the UFC. But that's the name of the game. You come on in, you push it, and hopefully he doesn't end his story now.
No, for sure, man. Now, I wanted to ask you another thing before we wrap this up. I know you got a kids class going on. People are already showing up. Now, this we had talked earlier, man. Of course, you have some tournaments coming up, jiu-jitsu.
Yep, we got IBJJF December 8th. That's going to be happening. So just getting ready for that, just staying ready for it. Really putting in that time with our guys. It's pretty cool because we've been doing our thing for a minute. Now that we know, for my newer guys, there's another pace to it. Whenever it comes to competition, you can see the focus. You can see the elevation of the game now. Now there's another step.
Yeah.
You're looking at it from another facet, another viewpoint, and then you're able to kind of evolve from it and continue growing. So it's cool because now it's not just, learn a move, try to execute a move. Now it's okay, try to do this while a guy's going 100% against you. Now we're getting familiar with it. Now we're adding another bit to the game. Now we got to put in a little bit more effort or be a little bit more disciplined, that much more focus in the detail. And it's cool to see that. It's cool to see every day doing these tournaments, doing them for 10 years, it's cool. But then whenever you constantly grow and go through life and continue to evolve, you see whenever you grow, continue to evolve, go through life, you see these things where, now that's what it was like whenever I first started out. Now,
yeah.
Okay, now it's pretty cool. If I can tell these guys what to expect, maybe they'll be able to take off a little bit more with it. So it's awesome. Yeah, December 8th, IBJJF San Antonio Open.
Yeah, well, I do wish you the best of luck for that, man. We're going to wrap this up, man. Anybody you want to thank out there, man? Somebody, we need to get some of these sponsors for these podcasts here, so shout outs.
Well, we got a couple of shout outs, man. I actually got... for myself, I appreciate Club Boost. They always help me out, hook me up with my gis and things like that. So they keep that going here for me personally. As far as our OHANA West, our gis go, we got our guy Javi that helps us out with our Contra gis. Really hooks us up, gives us really durable, nice looking gis, and has nice options. So it's real cool. And we appreciate those guys. I appreciate all my guys here that do help out at the gym. Shout out to Edward. He hurt his elbow just yesterday, so he got that dislocated on a takedown. Got it popped back in. Helps us on out all the time with the kids and stuff like that. So appreciate you, man. Hopefully you get better soon, and then we'll see you on the mat whenever you get back. Take your time, brother.
No kidding, man. Well, I hope he does recover quickly and steps back in, man. Well, everybody, this is the Fight Card Podcast. I am Spida. This is Billy Bear. Say what's up.
I appreciate it. Thank you, man.
Yes, sir. Till next time, listen up.